The thugs began to surround the two of them. Jae-dong, who saw that the situation was getting tense, asked Ta-wook, "It looks like there are about 30 people. What should we do?" Before the thugs asked Ta-wook, "Are you Kang Ta-wook?" With a very relaxed face, and while eating his lollies, Kang Ta-wook replied, "That's right. I'm Kang Ta-wook." "Did Chudi-sung send you all?" The thugs who were annoyed at Kang Ta-wook's behavior replied, "Looks like this spoiled brat has a certain attitude. It doesn't matter who sent us. You won't be able to walk again after today. Focus on that." Then he ordered his subordinates, "What are you waiting for? Attack him." Then Ta-wook took a bite of his lollipop and hit the thug's face while saying, "Don't you know basic etiquette? Don't disturb people who are eating." Then the thugs who saw the incident became very angry, and the man he had previously hit said, "Drop the bastard." Then there were two thugs who immediately ran towards him. Ta-wook immediately prepared his attack. He opened his school jacket and slashed them using his jacket. They were both immediately bounced by Ta-wook's attack, but there was one thug who tried to attack Ta-wook with a sharp weapon. Ta-wook swiftly used his jacket to tie the thug's hands. After that, Ta-wook also took his weapon and kicked the thug until it bounced far enough. Ta-wook said, "Keep going if you have a death wish." After hearing such words, the thugs became even angrier at Ta-wook. The man who was hit in the face by Ta-wook said, "There's only this fat bastard. What are you worried about? Attack them all at once." Then they all immediately ganged up on Ta-wook, but it didn't take long. They all managed to be destroyed by Kang Ta-wook, and the man who previously always gave orders to other thugs was battered and had fallen on the street. Ta-wook immediately approached the man and he stomped on his face while saying, "I thought you were all trying to bring me down. Are you tired?" Then with a face full of fear, the man replied, "I should have checked your ability first, young Nim. It was my carelessness. Please forgive me this once and I won't bother you again." Ta-wook then ordered them to leave and said, "Go and tell Chu Hee-sung that with that level of ability, he is out of his league." The man fearfully replied, "Yes, understood." Then the man tried to ask Ta-wook something. He said then, "Can we follow you from now on, young Nim? Although we may not be at your level, everyone will be ready to fight for you. If there is anything we can help you with, we will do whatever you ask." Jae-dong, who heard that, was amazed by Kang Ta-wook and said, after fighting just once, he immediately got a group of subordinates. But while turning around, Ta-wook replied, "I'm not interested." The man pleaded with Ta-wook and said, "Please give us a chance and accept us as your brothers. I'm Kim Jong-hui. Please remember my name. We will follow you from now on, young Nim." But Ta-wook ignored the man and asked Jae-dong to leave. Ta-wook said, "Jae-dong, aren't you coming?" And Jae-dong replied, "Oh, yes, I'm coming." But because the man had been ignored by Ta-wook before, he did not lose his spirit, and he held Jae-dong's leg while pleading, "Please, brother, say good words to that young Nim. I'm begging you." Chu Hee-sung saw the scene from afar, and he became very upset. Chu Hee-sung then hit the wall and said, "A stole. When did that guy get so strong? Was he just pretending to be a loser until now? Even if King Jong-hui can't handle it, it will be difficult to take care of him quickly." Then Lee Yun-jae, the #1 bully in his school, came to Chu Hee-sung. Chu Hee-sung was surprised, and he said, "Why is Lee Yun-jae looking for me?" Then Chu Hee-sung explained the background of Lee Yun-jae. He explained that Lee Yun-jae was born into a family in Seging that was rumored to be a cult of ability users. So even the principal can't touch him. Chu Hee-sung asked Lee Yun-jae, "What do you want?" And he said, "Can you deliver this message to Kang Ta-wook?" Then with a smile, Chu Hee-sung replied, "It looks like Kang Ta-wook is fighting with the wrong person. Right, young Nim? I'll make sure he receives it correctly." Then Lee Yun-jae said, "Since we're done here, hurry up and get out of my sight." With a bit of resentment, Chu Hee-sung said in his heart, "I was only called to play the role of an errand boy. It's a blow to my pride, but if this can help destroy Kang Ta-wook, I can endure as much as anything." Then he replied, "Okay." Chu Hee-sung went straight to Kang Ta-wook, after which Lee Yun-jae said to his subordinates, "We can't underestimate Kang Ta-wook, so call some people here. Teach him a lesson by skinning the hand he used against us. I want the scalp as evidence and as a reminder." Then his subordinates replied, "Yes, sir." Chu Hee-sung went to the classroom and tried to find Kang Ta-wook there. After he saw Kang Ta-wook sitting in his seat, he went straight to him. Ta-wook, who saw Chu Hee-sung was looking for him, he said, "Did you come to bow before me?" The classmates who heard that started laughing at that. Not accepting such laughter, Chu Hee-sung shouted, "Who gave you guys permission to laugh? shut up." He immediately handed over the message that Lee Yun-jae had previously left to Ta-wook, while saying Yun-jae Hyun-nim said to give this to you. "I don't know what it says, but I think you should move out of here immediately. You should buy insurance first because all the precious money your mom has saved will be used for your hospital bills." Then with a creepy look, Ta-wook said, "Are you done talking?" Chu Hee-sung replied, "Try to keep this courage in front of Yun-jae Hyun-nim." Then Chu Hee-sung immediately left the classroom. Choi Jae-yun, who heard that, was worried about Ta-wook, and she went straight to Ta-wook and said, "Why did Lee Yun-jae send you here and cause such a commotion? I'll go and tell him to stop." Choi Jae-yun immediately took the message and rushed to Lee Yun-jae. But Ta-wook held Choi Jae-yun back and grabbed her hand. Ta-wook asked Choi Jae-yun, "Do you know Lee Yun-jae or what? What will you get by trying to approach him?" Then with a blushing face, Choi Jae-yun said, "To be honest, he has already confessed his love to me and I don't know if he saw us both eating, but he asked if I rejected him because of you." Then Ta-wook took the message back and said, "This has nothing to do with that or you. I will handle this in my own way." With a face full of worry, Choi Jae-yun replied, "All right." Ji-dong, who heard the conversation between Kang Ta-wook and Choi Jae-yun, asked Ta-wook, "Are you two close enough to be together? Let me know what happened." Ta-wook replied, "It's not like that." Ji-dong, who was still curious, said, "You're an asshole. You're no fun. Anyway, it looks like Lee Yun-jae called you out. Will you really go see him?" Ta-wook replied, "If I don't go, do you think he's the type to sit down after standing up? Since things are like this, it looks like we'll have to fight it out." Then Ta-wook immediately rushed off to meet them. Once there, Ta-wook was already being waited on by Lee Yun-jae and his subordinates. Lee Yun-jae, who saw Ta-wook really came there, was happy and he said, "I thought you were too cowardly to show up, but you managed to drag yourself here." Then Ta-wook replied, "What did you call me here for?" Lee Yun-jae said, "I warned you to back off, Choi Jae-yun." Ta-wook said, "You're such a masochist." Annoyed by Kang Ta-wook's words, Lee Yun-jae said, "That bastard," and then he ordered his subordinates to attack Ta-wook. He said, "What are you waiting for? Beat that little shit." Then two of his subordinates came, and they seemed to have an aura around their bodies. Ta-wook, who realized it, said, "That's not the aura of a normal person. Are these people practitioners?" Then Ta-wook immediately put on a serious face and he said, "I think this will be a good practice test for my current skills." Then the fight began. They both attacked Ta-wook with their fists. But Ta-wook was able to dodge the attacks easily and he said, "Their skills look like 2 stars. I should be able to take care of them and catch my breath." When they tried to hit him again, Ta-wook easily withstood the punch and he grasped the punch. Then the other man, he tried to hit Ta-wook. But Ta-wook successfully withstood the attack by using his martial arts technique. Lee Yun-jae, who saw the fight, said, "There seems to be a good reason why he suddenly appeared on the radar. That bastard turned out to be a practitioner too." Then Lee Yun-jae ordered his subordinates to stop their fight. His subordinates asked why. Lee Yun-jae said, "You two won't be able to defeat him. Do I have to intervene too?" Then Lee Yun-jae went straight to Ta-wook, and he asked Ta-wook, "Looks like you are a practitioner, huh? Since your level seems low, I will give you one last chance to kowtow to me. If you don't want to be paralyzed, then do it." Then with a face full of confidence, Ta-wook replied, "The one who will beg for his life is the one who is looking at me right now." Hearing such words, Lee Yun-jae became very emotional, and he said, "Since you insist, then I can only comply, then taste this." Lee Yun-jae took out his martial arts, and he tried to hit Ta-wook hard. But Ta-wook was easily able to dodge the attack. Shocked, Lee Yun-jae said, "You don't even look like 3 stars, and you can dodge my attacks. That doesn't make sense." Then Ta-wook replied, "Less talking, fight more." And Ta-wook countered the attack and Lee Yun-jae was able to withstand Ta-wook's attack. But the attack caused Lee Yun-jae to bounce far back. His subordinate had to hold Lee Yun-jae's body so that he wouldn't bounce any further. His subordinate asked Lee Yun-jae, "Hey, are you sure you can handle it by yourself?" While stretching his arms, Lee Yun-jae replied, "This will be my fight. Until I finish releasing my anger, I will continue to beat him up. Don't stop me." Then Ta-wook said, "Enough with the warm-up and move on. I'm wasting my time with your flirting." Lee Yun-jae, who was getting angry at Ta-wook's words, ran straight to Ta-wook and shouted, "Keep talking, you jerk." Then he attacked Ta-wook with his fist again, but Ta-wook was able to dodge the attack. Lee Yun-jae readied his fist and shouted, "Die," and he punched Ta-wook again, but Tae-wook dodged the attack again. Tae-wook said, "Guess 5 stars don't mean anything to me." Then Lee Yun-jae took out his fist again and said, "I'll make you regret it. Feel this," and they exchanged blows. It caused a tremendous clash of power. Lee Yun-jae's subordinates were shocked by that, and they said he stopped Yun-jae's attack. After the clash of blows, Lee Yun-jae got a cut inside his body, and it caused him to bleed a little from his mouth. Lee Yun-jae thought, for 3 stars, his hand technique is really strong. Tae-wook, who managed to repulse Lee Yun-jae, thought, if I hadn't received that old man's energy, I would have been destroyed. Lee Yun-jae was approached by his subordinates, and they helped to hold his body while saying, "Can you continue to fight?" With an alarming condition, Lee Yun-jae replied, "I told you I'm fine." Then Tae-wook said, "Are you exhausted? Your stamina is terrible." Although Tae-wook looked relaxed, but as a result of the previous punch fight, Tae-wook had a cut around his hand. Blood was pouring out of his hand. While wiping the blood from his mouth, Lee Yun-jae said, "I have a good idea of where you stand. I will make you regret rejecting me today." Tae-wook replied, "You're trying to end this with a threat. I won't regret anything, so go home and work on your skills again." Although Lee Yun-jae was annoyed to hear such words, his body could no longer continue the fight and he said to the stool, "Let's go." Lee Yun-jae left immediately and his subordinates helped him to walk out. Tae-wook also received a lot of wounds. Blood kept pouring out of his hands. After they left, Tae-wook immediately threw himself to the ground, and he immediately had a look full of disappointment, and he said, "I acted like I was stronger than them, but if we keep fighting, I will definitely lose. Before Lee Yun-jae finds out, I need to leave as soon as possible." Tae-wook immediately stood back up and painstakingly tried to walk away from there. But suddenly, someone shouted, "Tae-wook Appa." Tae-wook was surprised to hear a call from the person behind him. Tae-wook immediately turned around and said, "This voice, is it Yun-jae?" Then Yun-jae came to Tae-wook while calling him back, "Tae-wook Appa." Tae-wook asked, "Why are you here?" Yun-jae went to Tae-wook, and she said, "I heard that the engagement was cancelled and I was worried. I came to see you but you weren't at school, so I've been looking for you for a while now." Seeing that Tae-wook had some wounds on his body, Yun-jae asked Tae-wook, "Are you hurt?" But Tae-wook immediately turned around and said, "I'm fine, so let's go." While showing a sad face, Yun-jae said, "You're really angry, aren't you? I didn't expect you to cancel our engagement unilaterally. I just had a fight with him and left the house." Tae-wook became shocked after hearing that. While holding Tae-wook's hand, Yun-jae said, "You must be in a lot of pain. Let's heal your arm first. Sit down for a while." Tae-wook, who thought that Yun-jae ran away from home because of him, was touched by Yun-jae's actions. Tae-wook finally obeyed Yun-jae's words and said, "Okay." Yun-jae also tried to check the wound on Tae-wook's arm. Yun-jae said, "It looks like you fought with someone. You're seriously injured, and this wound is a bit unusual. It's almost like you were practicing." Tae-wook replied, "That's right. I've recently been on the path of a martial artist." Yun-jae, who was surprised to hear Tae-wook's answer, said, "What? But I thought your father was against it." Tae-wook, who was curious about that, immediately stood up and held Yun-jae's hand. Then he said, "You said my father disapproved." Yun-jae tried to tell the reason why she knew that. She said, "I only heard this from my father. But your father was an outstanding practitioner and didn't want you to take the same path as him." Tae-wook became even more curious about that, so he tried to ask Yun-jae more and, "What else? If you know anything else about my father, please tell me. This is all very important to me." Yun-jae replied, "That's all I know about him." With a disappointed face, Tae-wook said, "So that's it." Seeing Tae-wook showing a sad face, Yun-jae tried to encourage Tae-wook again, and she said, "Don't be too discouraged. I'll ask my father next time." Tae-wook replied, "You think your family who tried to tarnish my name will tell me the truth?" Yun-jae, who felt guilty because of the bad behavior of her family to Tae-wook, immediately held Tae-wook's hand, and she said, "I sincerely apologize to you. Please forgive me for my family's bad behavior." Smiling, Tae-wook replied, "You don't have to apologize to me about that. I'm grateful that you came looking for me." Yun-jae became happy after hearing that. She smiled and said, "Do you really think so?" Tae-wook replied, "Of course." But Yun-jae couldn't get rid of her worry, and she said, "But, Appa, if you come back like this, imagine how worried your mother will be." Yun-jae also offered Tae-wook to rest at her place. She said, "The hotel I'm staying at is close by. You should rest there for a while." Tae-wook replied, "Isn't it a problem for you if you meet someone you know?" Yun-jae said, "Even though my family is famous, how many people do you think will recognize me here? And I also want to ask you a favor. Ta-wook asked, what favor? Yen-jae said, it's been a long time since I've been in this town. I was thinking of visiting Mr. Gu. Ta-wook said, Mr. Gu? I don't think I'll be welcome there. Yen-jae asked Ta-wook, why not? He used to play with you when we were kids. Smiling, Ta-wook replied, is that so? Well, let's get out of here first for now. Yen-jae was happy that Ta-wook agreed to accompany her. Smiling, Yen-jae replied, okay. Then they went to the hotel. When they arrived, they sat on the sofa and Yen-jae said, here you can dedicate yourself to practicing without any distractions. Ta-wook replied, thank you. Then Ta-wook immediately closed his eyes and cultivated there. Meanwhile, Yen-jae continued to look at Ta-wook. She felt happy to see Ta-wook again. While smiling, Yen-jae said, Appa, I will definitely change my father's mind about you. After a while, Ta-wook reopened his eyes and he had finished cultivating there. Ta-wook also saw Yen-jae, who was sleeping on the sofa. Ta-wook took the initiative to get a blanket and he immediately covered Yen-jae. But while Ta-wook was covering her, Yen-jae woke up and said, are you done? Ta-wook replied, yes, I'm grateful to you. I'm recovering now. Then Yen-jae said, then, can we look for Mr. Gu? Then suddenly Yen-jae felt pain in her head. Ta-wook immediately approached her and tried to hold Yen-jae's body. Ta-wook, who felt worried, asked, what's wrong? Are you okay? While smiling, Yen-jae replied, it's okay, I'm just a little dizzy. But Ta-wook was still worried about Yen-jae and he said, you don't look so good. Yen-jae also tried to calm Ta-wook down. She said, I'm fine, really. I think I had vertigo when I woke up suddenly earlier. Before it's too late, let's go find him. Then Ta-wook replied, okay. And they went straight to Mr. Gu's place. Before getting there, Ta-wook bought some souvenirs for Mr. Gu. Yen-jae said to Ta-wook, since it's been a long time since we've seen each other, I went to buy him something too. Ta-wook replied, well, it's because I came empty-handed last time, so I felt bad that time. Yen-jae was happy to hear that, and she said, you're very considerate. Smiling, Ta-wook said yes. Meanwhile, at Mr. Gu's place, there was a fight going on, and Mr. Gu looked quite dead. There was a man who was being confronted by Mr. Gu, and the man said, why don't you be nice and hand him over before we destroy you? Mr. Gu replied, I won't hand it over to you, even if I die. After speaking like that, the man became annoyed with Mr. Gu, and he immediately took out his martial arts, saying it seems like you don't want to talk. Then die? Then Mr. Gu said, I'll give you the fight you want. And they exchanged blows, but the man's attack was too strong for Mr. Gu to deal with, and it caused Mr. Gu to bounce very far back. Mr. Gu was so badly injured that he was bleeding profusely from his mouth. Then the man said, where is it hidden? After that, Ta-wook and Yen-jae finally reached Mr. Gu's place. There they saw that the entrance of Kyungpoon Gym had been destroyed. Ta-wook and Yen-jae looked very surprised to see the place in shambles. Ta-wook said, did the gangsters from the Martial Arts Association come again? Then Ta-wook and Yen-jae rushed into the place. Ta-wook shouted for Mr. Gu, sir, where are you? After that, they saw Mr. Gu lying on the floor, and the condition of Mr. Gu did not look so good. Then Ta-wook shouted, but Mr. Gu did not respond to Ta-wook's call, because he looked like he was passed out there. Ta-wook and Yen-jae immediately ran to Mr. Gu, and he immediately held Mr. Gu's body while saying, are you okay? Please come back to us. The man who injured Mr. Gu was still there, and he was hiding behind the wall. The man also looked like he was watching the two of them, and the man said, that looks like the princess of the Ha family. Is a martial artist from that family also nearby? Since Kuban's son is on the verge of death, I need to get out of here before I get caught. Then the man quickly left the place. Ta-wook was still shouting for Mr. Gu, but still Mr. Gu could not respond to Ta-wook's call. Yen-jae also tried to check Mr. Gu's pulse. After she tried to check his pulse, Yen-jae looked so surprised, and she said, his pulse is too weak. We have to take him to the emergency room now. Then they both took Mr. Gu to Hincheon Hospital. After arriving there, Mr. Gu had already received some treatment there. Yen-jae said, since we took him to the emergency room, he could avoid the worst-case scenario. Ta-wook said, he managed to seal his blood, that's how he avoided bleeding. She handled it well. Yen-jae said, but who would kill her? Yen-jae suddenly thought of something, and she said, maybe. Then Ta-wook asked Yen-jae, are you connecting this incident with my father's death? Yen-jae said, the thought just suddenly crossed my mind. We should ask him once he wakes up. Ta-wook was silent as he continued to stare at Mr. Gu. After that, Ta-wook said, it's very late. "Can you help me, Yunjae?" Yunjae replied to take care of Mr. Gu. "Don't worry, I'll be by his side." But Taewook was worried that something might happen to Yunjae. Taewook said, "Are you sure you'll be okay? I just need to stop by the house and I'll be right back." Yunjae replied, "Am I still a child? Don't worry about me, just go to the house." Then Taewook said thank you. Smiling, Yunjae said, "For you, this is nothing." Then Taewook wrapped his arms around Mr. Gu and said, "We should take him to a place where he can hide." Yunjae replied, "Yes, it will be safer." After that, Taewook immediately rushed to his house. Yunjae was guarding Mr. Gu there. Then suddenly Yunjae's cell phone got a call from her father. Yunjae immediately answered the call and said hello. There her father immediately scolded Yunjae. He said, "Are you crazy? How can a girl like you leave home like that? Where did you learn this behavior? Tell me where you are now." Yunjae replied, "Until you restore the engagement, don't look for me." His father said, "And what is so great about that child that you are rebelling against your own father?" Then his father shouted loudly, "If you continue to be stubborn about this, I will make him disappear forever." After hearing such words from his father, Yunjae became angry, and he slightly raised his voice. He said, "Dad, you have crossed the line." After saying such words, Yunjae forgot that he was taking care of Mr. Gu. He started to move away from Mr. Gu. He was worried that the sound of their conversation would disturb Mr. Gu. Yunjae continued to say, "If you hurt Taewook Appa, you'll never see my face again." Then her father replied, "I've let you go all this time. I've been very tolerant of you. If you don't come back tomorrow, just see what happens." Then Yunjae yelled, "Dad," but her father immediately ended the conversation and turned off his cell phone. At Yunjae's father's place, there were two assistants from the family who had been standing next to Yunjae's father. The assistant was named Hae Tae-yong, and Tae-yong's father was named Hae Tak-jun. After hanging up the call with his son, his father directly spoke to them. He said, "Tae-yong, you said you went to Seging with the engagement dissolution notice." Hae Tae-yong replied, "Yes. I met Kang Taewook, but he didn't seem like a normal man." Then Yunjae's father asked, "Are you sure about this?" Hae Tae-yong firmly answered, "I'm sure. Originally, I wanted to go quietly and get his signature, but that arrogant ass insulted the family and made a fuss over the engagement breakup, so I couldn't just let it go." Then Hae Tak-jun gave a suggestion to Yunjae's father. He said, "President, how about we send a group of skilled people to enforce order?" Then Yunjae's father looked angry and he said, "I'm sure I told you to take care of this quietly." Now things are getting out of hand. Seeing Yunjae's father getting angry, they both got scared and Hae Tae-yong said, "It's all my fault." Then Hae Tak-jun said, "Please forgive us, President. He was just trying to make sure that man wouldn't approach that woman again. He didn't expect a coward to hide such ability. Wouldn't it be better if he was banished so that no one can refute our story?" After hearing that Yunjae's father was silent for a moment, then he said, "Bringing Yunjae home is a more pressing matter. Make sure no one finds out. If you fail to return, I won't let you off the book." Then they both bowed their heads and said, "We understand, sir." And they immediately left the room. Then Yunjae's father suddenly thought of something. He said, "Don't tell me, Kang Taewook." After that, the scene showed Tae-yong, who was talking to his father. Tae-yong said, "We have to knock such a person down so hard that he can never crawl back up. So why, President?" Before Tae-yong could finish his speech, his father hit his son on the head and said, "Get ready, idiot. The president gave you a second chance to get his approval, and you're thinking of messing it up? I warned you not to cause any more trouble. Do you understand?" With a vengeful face, he replied, "Yes." Then he silently said, "A shoal." At Taewook's house, his mother looked at the clock on the wall and said, "Looks like Taewook is late." Then, not long after Taewook arrived home, while opening the door, he said, "I'm back." His mother said, "You're late. Where have you been that you're late?" Then Taewook lied to his mother. He said, "I was out with Jae-dong, so I didn't realize how much time had passed. I'm going to take a shower first." After saying that, Taewook went straight to the bathroom and closed the door. His mother said, "He's acting more and more suspicious." Taewook immediately rushed to the bathroom, where he said, "I have to take a quick shower and switch places with Yunjae while Mom is asleep." But while Taewook was bathing, his mother was visited by several people. His mother said, "Who are you at this hour?" The man at the door said, "Excuse me. Is this Kang Taewook's residence?" His mother asked the man, "But who are you all?" After that, Taewook immediately came out of the bathroom, and he said, "Mom, did anyone come?" Then the man at the door smiled at Taewook and said, "Kang Taewook?" Tae-wook replied, yes, that's right. The man said to Tae-wook's mother, are you going to let your guests but stand outside? Then Tae-wook immediately blocked the man. With a serious face, Tae-wook thought, where did these people come from? The family? Or are they the people I met in the morning with Lee Yun-jae? Are these people sent as revenge? Then they all immediately entered Tae-wook's house. His mother was frightened by it. She said, why did you come looking for Tae-wook? Then the man said, please don't misinterpret this. The head of our family extended an invitation to Kang Tae-wook. Then Tae-wook's mother fearfully said, did my son do something wrong? If so, I will apologize in return. Tae-wook immediately stood in front of his mother and said, it seems like a respectable person invited me, so isn't it appropriate for me to go out and buy a gift for that person? His mother asked Tae-wook, respectable person? Who? Did you do something bad? Tae-wook replied, no, there's no point in going empty-handed, so I thought I'd better go buy a basket of fruit as a souvenir. So can you come out and buy it for me, Mom? The shop in front should still be open. Note, it is a Korean custom to bring a gift box filled with large fruits when visiting people to show respect. The mother asked, is it true that nothing happened here? To which the man replied, that's right. The head of our family wanted to return the favor to your son and asked us to escort him. His mother immediately went out of the house and said, please sit and wait. I'll be back soon. After his mother left the house, Tae-wook immediately put on a serious face and he said, who are you? Did Lee Yun-jae send you? The man said, you understand quickly. The elders are waiting, so if you can. And the man signaled Tae-wook to leave immediately. Then Tae-wook said, tell him I won't leave. Even if the head of the family comes in person, I'm not changing my mind. Then the man tried to threaten Tae-wook. He said, I suggest you come with us while we are being polite about this. Tae-wook said, why should I? Then the man ordered his two subordinates to take Tae-wook by force. He said, I think we should break your arms or legs so that you can come quietly, and I mean shouting. While preparing his fighting position, Tae-wook said, then let's do it. The two subordinates quickly attacked Tae-wook while saying, you arrogant ass. Tae-wook quickly grasped the hands of the two subordinates. Then Tae-wook released his energy, and it made the two subordinates fall to the floor. The man was surprised to see Tae-wook, who could defeat the two subordinates. The man said, you are willing to antagonize the Lee family. While stretching his muscles, Tae-wook thought, if this person has a higher domain level than Lee Yun-jae, it won't be easy to even exchange 3 attacks with him. Then Tae-wook said, enough of the pleasantries and let's fight. The man immediately prepared his fighting stance and said, you'll regret it. Tae-wook immediately put on his serious face, and he thought, if this time I have to risk my life and finish this duel quickly. Then the man immediately took out his martial technique and said, feel this. Tae-wook immediately tried to block the attack using his hand. The attack could even make Tae-wook a little pushed and made the floor in his house a little broken. After that, Tae-wook immediately took out his martial arts technique, and the man could not withstand the attack from Tae-wook. The attack caused the man to bounce until he hit the door. It wasn't long before the man got back up, and he said, as young master said, the realm has not exceeded 3 stars. Seeing the man struggling to stand up, Tae-wook taunted the man, saying perhaps you should contact the head of your family for further assistance. But the man was not provoked by Tae-wook's words. The man tried to stretch the muscles in his wrists, and he also thought that Tae-wook's attack was not strong enough to temporarily immobilize his body. The man also thought that Tae-wook did not show a normal 3 stars level. That man also thought that Tae-wook was an abnormal human being. Previously, the man was given the task of confirming Tae-wook's ability and was instructed not to attack prematurely. The man said to Tae-wook, it won't be easy for you to get out alive after provoking the Lee family. I ask you to make a wise decision. Tae-wook thought that it's not profitable for me to keep fighting here. Tae-wook replied to the man. He said, if your business is done, how about you leave? You're becoming a nuisance at this late hour. The man immediately ordered his subordinates to leave immediately, and they immediately left Tae-wook's house. After that, Tae-wook immediately felt pain in his chest. Tae-wook said, I'm lucky my opponent is trained in the art of medicine. That was very dangerous. Tae-wook said, if my opponent was a martial artist of the same level, I would have been in danger when I fought with him. But I must admit, my energy has changed completely. Is it because I've fought a practitioner? Tae-wook thought that his martial arts training was still lacking. Tae-wook thought that if he wanted to become stronger, he needed more fighting experience. Then his mother came and said, Tae-wook, I met those people on the street. What happened? Are you training in secret and hiding it from me? Tawook said, I was planning to open up to you little by little, but it seems like you already know. Then his mother took his hand and said, when did you activate your route? Tawook looked a little surprised by such a question. He said, activated my route. Tawook explained that nature practitioners inherit their route, which allows them to sense the world aura and is beneficial for practicing their art. In the future, they grow as ability users. There are 3 types of practitioners, namely nature practitioners, ability practitioners, and advanced practitioners. On the other hand, advanced practitioners do not have a route, and at a certain level they can only reach it when they have started their path. In my past life, I believe I was an advanced practitioner, and it was only because of my innate core soul and the help I received from Old Man Quack that I was able to start my path. Tawook then said to his mother, then are you telling me that I am a natural practitioner? To which his mother replied, that's right. Our family is mostly made up of practitioners. Your father in particular is quite a genius. Then his mother suddenly burst into tears and said, and that's why I'm angry. Tawook said, what? Then I have a route, but I haven't activated it yet. Tawook asked his mom, then that means you know who killed Dad? His mom replied, no, I don't really know. I don't really know. Your father was chasing someone, but it seems like Mr. Gu has a good idea of who that person is. Tawook said, Mr. Gu? I'm not sure if he's awake. Then Tawook got a call. Tawook said, what does that mean? His mom asked, are you related to Yeonjae? Tawook said, she just came to town. I'll explain most of it later. His mom replied, okay, take the call first. Then Tawook answered the call, yes, Yeonjae. Yeonjae immediately said, Appa, we have a problem. Mr. Gu has disappeared. Tawook was immediately surprised to hear this. He immediately shouted, what did you say? Tawook and his mother went to the hospital quickly. After getting there, Yeonjae immediately shouted, Appa, over here. Tawook and his mother immediately approached Yeonjae and Tawook immediately asked, how did this happen? But Yeonjae did not immediately answer Tawook's question. He greeted Tawook's mother first. He said, hello, mother. Her mother said, it's been a long time. You've grown into a good woman during the time we haven't seen each other. Yeonjae said, I should have stopped by myself to say hello, but the situation never presented itself. Tawook immediately rushed into the hospital and said, can you exchange greetings later? Let's find Mr. Gu first. After that, they all entered Mr. Gu's room. Tawook asked Yeonjae, when did he disappear? Yeonjae explained that when I went to the bathroom for a short time, he disappeared. The nurses didn't see her either. Then Yeonjae started crying and said, I'm sorry. This is my fault. Tawook's mother tried to calm Yeonjae down. She said, it's not like you did this on purpose. Why are you crying? Tawook again asked, is there anyone suspicious? Yeonjae replied, they said no. Tawook said, also, this area looks too clean. Did she get up and leave? Yeonjae said, no way. She's not the type to leave without saying goodbye, and her wounds are too severe for that. Tawook immediately thought about his father, and he said, anyway, before Tawook could finish his sentence, his mother asked what happened. You mean Mr. Gu was attacked? Tawook said, I'm not sure myself. That's why we wanted to ask him after he woke up. But then his mother was worried about Mr. Gu. She said, is someone trying to kill Mr. Gu? Tawook asked his mother, do you have a guess who it is? Then his mother tried to think about it. Tawook also tried to explain the situation to his mother. He said, not long ago I asked Mr. Gu about father's death, but he refused to tell me about this matter. But now the same thing happened to him. It's not something we can avoid just by saying it. His mother started to tell Tawook. She said, I heard that Mr. Gu and your father were investigating a certain organization. Tawook said, and you think there's a connection between that organization and your father's death? His mother said, only Mr. Gu knows the details. Tawook said, then we need to find him right away. His mother said, I have a way to quickly find Mr. Gu's location. Tawook asked, what way? And her mom said, first, let's go home. Then they immediately left the hospital. After they almost reached Tawook's house, Yeonjae said in her heart, Tawook lives in a place like this. He's had a hard time all this time. Then they all entered the house and they all went straight to his mother's room. There his mother took out a long box shaped like a suitcase. Tawook opened the box and asked, what is this? His mother explained that this is the sword your father used when he was active. The sword looked so dashing and charming. Tawook said, this is a beautiful sword. The energy is no joke either. After that, Tawook tried to lift the sword, but the sword could not be lifted by Tae-wook. Tae-wook looked a little confused, and he said, "Why isn't it budging?" Then Tae-wook tried to lift the sword again, but despite all his energy the sword still couldn't be lifted by Tae-wook. His mother said that your father sealed the sword, just in case someone wanted to steal it. Tae-wook asked, "And how do you break the seal?" His mother felt confused after hearing such a question, and she said, "I didn't hear how to do that." Tae-wook said, "But Mom was able to bring the sword just a moment ago." His mother replied, "He must have recognized me." Tae-wook immediately spoke to the sword, "Hey, can't you recognize me? Don't you think I look like someone?" Then suddenly the sword gave off a little light and responded to Tae-wook. Yeonjae said, "Appa, the sword is responding." Then Tae-wook immediately tried to lift the sword back and the energy of the sword began to expand, and finally Tae-wook managed to lift the sword. After that the sword released its energy and Tae-wook thought that the energy in this sword felt familiar. Tae-wook said, "This feels like Dad's energy."